Hello, fine folks, and welcome to Booghy Plays. Today I am playing with questions. Today I'm interviewing a designer, a game which will come this year as a reprint. Not this year, next year, a reprint of it. A game which was a huge success when it arrived. It practically put Spielworks on the map. That game is La Granja, and my guest today is one of the designers of La Granja, and he is Mr. He's called in the industry Ode or Andreas Odendahl. Welcome, Ode. Oh, did I say it correctly? Ode.
Yes, very fine. Very good.
Um,
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome to Booghy Plays, and thank you for accepting my invitation. Um, this year you'll also bring you'll also have El Burro. No, this year or next year? Next year, no, next year.
Next
Next year,
year.
yeah,
Next
which is
year.
a La Granja type game. So you kept yourself busy. Um, how we'll go this interview, like I said before we went live. It is a bit. Um, it has two parts, and the first part will talk about you. And my first question is, where were you born, and where did you grow up?
Well, I was born in Düsseldorf in Germany, and 46 years ago. And yeah, but I don't live in the area any longer. So I live close to the Dutch border in a small town called Leer. It's just 2,000 people here living here. It's a very rural area, and yeah, so that's where I live, northern Germany.
But did you grow up there, or?
Yes, basically, I grew up in this area. So for the first couple of years, about 10 years, I was in the region of Düsseldorf. It's called the Rheinland.
Yeah.
So it's a Rhine region. And then my parents moved back to where they came from, which is it's called Münsterland because Münster is the biggest city here, and the whole area is called after Münster. And yeah, so this is where my teenage years, where I spent my teenage
Yeah.
years, and yeah, I still am here. So, but I don't live in Rheine any longer. The second biggest town in the Münsterland. But when I went to the university to Münster, and from there on, now I live in a very small town. Uh,
How,
well, it's basically between my hometown Rheine and Münster.
I see. How was it to grow up in a rural area, in a smaller island? Practically, as you say, you're not brought up in a big city. How was that? How was your childhood?
Um, well, how can I describe this? So, um, I had many friends. We drank much alcohol on the weekends, and uh, yeah, I was very interested in music back then. So I played bass, and I played in punk rock bands, and went to many concerts. So I'm a big fan of independent music, punk rock, hardcore, emo core, indie rock. So that's what I was doing when I was younger, and
So you're a fan
yeah.
of
So
music.
this was growing up.
I see. So
Yes.
you uh, yeah, we have to say people that the Rhine Valley in Germany is famous for its wine. So yeah.
Mm. That's more in the south, um, not in the area where I grew up. So the Düsseldorf is close to the Ruhr area. So there's a big area in Germany that has very much industry, and it's basically one town consisting of many cities, and that's the Ruhrpott. Um, and Düsseldorf is at the south end of the Ruhrgebiet. And the wine area is way south, a couple of hundred kilometers back. So it's not actually where I was from.
I see. You are more up north. Um, so
Yeah, I'm more of a beer drinker.
than a wine drinker. Okay. Um, so you what did when did you start playing? Or first, sorry, I skipped one. What were your parents' professions? What did your parents do?
My father is a policeman, and my mother is an accountant.
So how did they find your love for music or your passion for music? Did they encourage you to take up that path?
No, absolutely not. Actually, the opposite. But my parents were very, how do I say it in English? So they let me do what I wanted to do. So there was no, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. So it's basically you do whatever you want, just be careful. And very supporting. They are very supporting parents. So I was, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's very supporting parents, and I could do what I wanted as long as I did not get in trouble.
yeah. What does getting in trouble mean in Germany?
Um, in Germany, getting in trouble was, yeah, because my father is a policeman. Um, do not get in touch with the law. So uh, as long as I stay inside of the boundaries of the law, I was actually fine. So they let me do whatever I want, and
I see.
yeah, yeah.
A childhood shapes a person in a way or another. Um, did you start? When did you start playing? When did you start finding? Maybe you played sports. You played instruments. Did you play any instrument? When did you also games? When you start playing games?
Yeah, so game related, I had a very normal um, socialization, like it is common in Germany. So we played a lot of family style games in the family, but that was nothing that I was really very much interested in. So um, there's a German game called Malefiz. I don't know if there's an international version to it that I remember that we played very often in the family, and also a trick-taking game called Doppelkopf um, is very common in the area that I live in. I played a lot of Doppelkopf with my friends, and I remember that I had a group of friends, and we played a lot of Risk. And Risk is a game that tears up friendships to my person. And I hated back then. I really disliked gaming, so this was not. We played this game, and then we did not talk to each other for a week. Very close friends. And so my experience with board games was mainly not positive. So I did not want to play board game with friends. So because that was not good. And when I moved in together with my uh, girlfriend back then, but now wife, we started to develop a small.
Okay. Do not
Um,
do not jump. Do not jump, because I will get there. We are getting there.
yeah, sure.
You weren't really interested in playing games, but as you explain it, playing games in Germany and talking with other German German people which I have interviewed, designers or publishers, they all said that playing games in their childhood was a part of their child, was a part of their growing up. So playing games. Did you have a day, a certain day during a week where where the family gets together and plays a game, or there were game days, or what was that just social gaming? How was it? How was gaming in your childhood or in the family?
No, we did not have something like this. So there is no regularity. We just played whenever we wanted, and that's basically very common. So we had these games, and sometimes on the weekends we played, and normally also on holidays like Christmas or Easter or something like this. So this would be um, dates when we would play family style games, but like Monopoly or I actually googled it. So this German game called Malefiz is actually a Pachisi style of game. So
Yeah.
these kinds of games, not really these gamers games like I play now, but back then it was these classical family style games that are very common in Germany.
Yeah. Um, so when you are starting to talk a bit, what did you study at you at university? You went to Münster. You said. What did you study there in university?
I wanted to become a teacher.
I see. In what?
Hmm?
To teach what?
Sports and social studies. Yeah, but I failed. I did not. I did not finish this career. So at a couple of years in, I realized this is not for me, and then um, I went to a what's it called? Well, I got a real occupation then. Let me
You
just.
you did a you started doing something. You started working in doing what?
Yes, I started working to finance my studies, and then I started an education. I went to school, back to school, to become. Ooh, I know the German term, but I don't know how to explain it to somebody who speaks English. Let me just look it up.
Yeah, of course. So,
Uh,
um,
this this is something that I so I'm basically a nurse or caretaker for disabled people. So
I see.
there's something you can learn, which is basically um, yeah. So it's like a nurse.
A nurse. Yeah, you take care of people. It's palliative. Is it for people who dies of cancer, or is it of
No, no,
people
no.
who are
For this,
disabled?
yes, only for disabled people, like
On
people in wheelchairs or something like this. So,
I see.
and this is basically what I started doing while still studying. So um, I started back in 1998 to work at this company, and I still do actually. But in the meantime, I made a schooling qualification in
Taking
working with
care of
being a nurse for disabled people.
for
Yeah, yeah,
disabled people. Yeah.
yeah.
And when did you start discovering? You said that you were not a fan of of older games. When did you start discovering modern board games, and how did they trap you?
Yeah, so I basically despise all these classic German games like Yahtzee, Risk, Monopoly, Pachisi. I really hate them to the bone. If you ask me to play one of those games, I'm out of the room immediately. So I really despised board games back then. And then my wife, back then girlfriend, came along, and she had a couple of games, and they were okay. So it's like Skippo and what did we play back then? Phase 10, which are basically games that are a little bit modern, but not these classic games. That was okay, and I really did not want to so much, but since she was my girlfriend, I agreed to play those games. But then we wanted to explore more games, and we bought the Settlers card game. And this was around about 2001-ish, around about this. And then we realized the rules are very complicated, and we put it on a shelf. So we didn't play it because it was too complicated for us.
What card game?
Settlers card game, Settlers of Catan.
Settlers of Catan card game. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's a two-player card
Two-player
game.
card game. Yeah. I know.
And it was way too complicated for us. We had no experience with such games, and so we shelved it. So we didn't play it because it was too complicated. But then my wife actually took the time to read through the rules, and she really powered through. And then she explained it to me maybe a couple of months after we actually bought it. And then we took the time and just to play one game, and we were fascinated because this was nothing like these classics, these German classics. So it was a completely different kind of game, and we were fascinated by this. And this was basically the start that we wanted to dig deeper into modern board games. And then we bought them all. We bought Carcassonne, all the games that are basically modern classics, you can say.
I see.
And so this was basically the starting point. And to this day, I really love the Settlers of Catan card game to the bone. So it's really one of my favorite games still.
So you see what they, yeah, that's a good wife.
Okay.
We're powering through. A fan of La Granja, for example, have your wife to thank for powering through the rules of Settlers of Catan, the card game. When did you stop giving up on your musician dream, or on being a musician dream?
Oh, I actually had never the dream of becoming a really good musician or making a living out of music or something like this. Is what's also everything music related is about passion. And so when my old band broke up, I moved to Münster, because we were located in my hometown. So we got a little bit out of touch, and I tried to find a band in Münster, but I did not succeed. I had a lot of friends in this hardcore punk scene, but I became a little bit frustrated about the scene, because I felt that it was very much very elitist. So if you play in a band, you were cool, and if not, you were not cool. So I really hated this, and so I just played for the fun.
For the fun.
Do
you still play?
So I picked up the guitar. Yeah, sometimes I play guitar and bass, but I only have acoustic guitar. And if I'm in the right mood, then I pick it up and play a little bit. But basically, I'm down to listening to music now and creating board games.
What's your do you have a favorite bass player? You like someone in particular?
Bass player. Well, I actually don't like this this kind of person cult. So who's the good bass player I enjoy? There's a band called Primus. It's a very quirky alternative rock band, and the bass player is called Les Claypool, and he's also the singer of the band, and he's he's completely nuts, and he has skills that is crazy, completely crazy. And he's a very good bass player, and
I see.
yeah, I enjoy.
So today, what kind of a player are you? We go back to the gaming questions. What kind of a player are you? You are a social type of player, or a do you like social deduction games, or do you like classical Euros, or games which are a bit more involved? What do you like playing?
No, I need to gain victory points, and if there's no victory point in it, I don't like it. No, no, of course not. Of course not. So actually, I like the bigger ones. So the really complex Euro style management optimizing games. This is my what I love in games, and like I already said. So these family style games, I really hated them back when I was younger, and so to this day, I do not really like these family style games, even if they are.
If they are good, they are different today.
Even if they are good, so I really don't want to play games and sitting around a table and just for the fun of it. So I don't have time for this. So I would rather talk to you for the whole night and drink a beer with you and have a good conversation before I pull out a game that's really family style games. So, but of course there's exceptions to it. So for instance, I recently learned Scout. Oh, I just have it here. This game?
I see. I haven't played it.
You haven't
No.
played it? It's a small card game, and this is really brilliant. So I love this really much. So this is one of the exceptions. But basically, I want the big ones, the complex Euro games. And normally I don't like these party games. So, but there's also exceptions to this. So there's a German game called Kneipenquiz. It's like a bar or pub quiz. So,
Yeah.
and this is very cool. But you can drink a beer while playing it.
Yeah.
It's very very cool. And but normally, deduction. I really don't like deduction because I'm too stupid for it. So I will always lose. Normally people are way quicker than I am, and this doesn't make fun. It's not fun to play these deduction games because you're sitting there. Okay, just give me another 15 minutes, and I will go reach this goal as well. But you're finished. Okay.
Okay.
But there's also an exception to this. There's an old game. It's called Secret of the Abbey or something like
Mystery
this.
Of the Abbey.
From
Mystery of the Abbey.
Mystery of the Abbey, and this is an old Days of Wonder
Yeah.
game, and we really love to play this.
It's a fun game. It will have a reprint,
yeah.
as I've heard. It will have a reprint soon.
Don't have? Oh, soon. Yeah, it's a very good game. So we like to play it, but I have played it 10, 15 times, so I don't need it any longer. So this is not something that I need to play regularly.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that it's a game that I think it's a Bruno Catala design and Ludovic Montblanc, probably. I hope I'm not wrong. I have it here somewhere. I really like that game. It's an older game, which is fun. Now, at some point, you started thinking, well, I like playing these games. Now, maybe I'd like to make a game of my own. How did that come to you?
Basically, my wife and I have a tendency, so what we like to do is that we, if we like a game, but there are some rules that we don't really like, then we change them. So we're house ruling many games. Like of course the Settlers of Catan game. I personally think this game is brilliant, but there was one rule that we really couldn't stand because it was very frustrating. So we changed it, and the game got better and more to our liking. I have to say, not only not better, but more to our liking. So we enjoyed this game after making this rule change.
Can you tell us what the rule
And
change
so,
was?
yes, sometimes you roll for the resources, and sometimes you just don't get lucky.
Yeah,
And then you can do nothing.
exactly. Yeah.
And for rounds and rounds and rounds, and you do not roll the right resource, and then you're just screwed. And we made up the rule that you can forfeit your whole turn just to get a free resource. So do nothing and just get one
resource.
resource.
Oh, I see.
Any one resource. And so you roll the dice and you do whatever the dice say, and then you say, oh no, I have nothing to do, so I forfeit my turn, and then I get just any one resource that I want. And that's the change that we made, and we're still playing the game like this. And yeah, it's way better, I think, but it's my personal opinion.
Have you ever talked with Klaus Teuber about implementing the idea?
No, actually not, but I don't know him. So, and I personally think he's a great designer, and he does not need any
advice
advice from me. So, and of course, if you buy a game and you like it, and there's something that you don't like about it, I'm always saying, okay, just change this and see where you get. Just don't come talking to the designer and complaining about that the game does not work. It might be the reason that you changed something.
I see. So when you started, so you changed, you started to change rules, but from changing rules to creating a whole new game is a different story.
Yes, that's true. So then I was a member of a German board game forum in the internet forum, and it was the second biggest German internet forum, and there were many people also from the industry. And being educated in a punk and hardcore society, you might say, I come from a do-it-yourself ethics. It's normal for people in the punk rock community to do their own stuff and do it on your own. Not rely on a big company. Very much independent stuff. And then I saw in this forum a guy saying that he's just started a company and he's going to publish his first game. It was 2009, I think. Yes. And I said, okay, so you're doing your own stuff. You're doing it on yourself. Do you need help? Explaining the game maybe in Essen and so on. Do you need people to help you publish games? And he was very confused because he said, oh, what does this guy want from me? I don't know him. And so we talked a little bit, and he realized that I do not want to harm him or something like this. So I just wanted to help. And he said, okay, let's do it. If you want, you can help me in Essen. And that's when 2009 was the first time that I explained games in Essen, and it was at the Gates of Loyang by Uwe Rosenberg. And the publisher was Whole Games.
So Whole Games is Uwe's company?
No, it's the guy behind it is called Ralf Brun. He's it's only a company, a hobby company, so he's not a professional board game developer or publisher or something. So he also does this just for a hobby, and but Uwe helped him to found the company by giving him a game, you might say.
Yeah.
And
at the Gates of Loyang, yeah. Great game, by the way.
At the Gates of Loyang. So, and this is also the moment that I met Uwe Rosenberg, because we play tested a little bit, And Uwe actually gave me a prototype of At the Gates of Loyang to playtest the solo rules. And when the game was published, it was the first time me being mentioned in the rulebook, because Uwe was so kind to wrote in the rules that I'm the solo expert for the game, So, it was the first time that I got mentioned in a board game, and I met Uwe Rosenberg, and who's a stellar designer, and I was a huge fan of Agricola and Le Havre back then, and Bonanza, of course. Bonanza being one of the few games as well that
you enjoy playing.
that I really enjoy, despite it being just a small game.
Yeah.
Oh, let me just.
Now my question to you is, I see you have it there. My question to you is, did you manage to get to 20 or 21 points with Gates of Loyang?
Not 20.
20.
Yes.
I managed to get to 19.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, but
yeah,
yeah,
it is hard.
I only did it once or so, and my wife normally beats me. She's way better. But we played the game around about 80 times so far, so it's we had a lot of training.
You do.
It was one of our favorite games for a very long time, and At the Gates of Loyang is actually. So maybe I can say it the other way around. So La Granja is actually a love letter to At the Gates of Loyang.
We're going to get to La Granja or La Granja.
I just wanted to state how much I love this game. So, and this was basically the starting point. And when At the Gates of Loyang was published, Ralph, the guy behind Hall Games, he invited me into his home because he wanted to play test the next game that he's going to publish. And the next game was Luna by Stefan Feld.
That's one of my favorites.
Also one of my favorites still, because this was a game where I helped developing the game. So I had my own prototype, I had my own playtesting groups, and Ralph playtested the game and I playtested the game. So I was something like a junior partner on this game, you might say. So Ralph was in charge, and Stefan, of course, and I gave feedback and opinions and stuff like this.
I see.
And then Ralph was actually kind enough to give me editor credits on Luna. So I was very proud to be. So he made me a member of the team, you might say. So on the back of the game is editing is Ralf Bruggen and Andreas Odendahl, and I was very proud of that. And these were actually my schooling years. So I learned a lot from Uwe Rosenberg. I learned a lot from Stefan. And I learned a lot from Ralf, of course, because Ralf is a stellar editor. And you might know this because he's not only publishing one brilliant game after another in his company, Hall Games, but he's also the editor behind huge success like Istanbul.
Yeah.
So I had very good schooling years, and I had early on I had very interesting friends like Uwe and Stefan, and so it was.
So practically, you started playtesting. I knew this. I know you're a playtester because one way or another, reading and getting more into this hobby. I knew. So I know you're a playtester. You're helping also. You playtest with Wooly also from Spielworks. You playtest a lot. So practically, your designer career started by being a playtester, an avid playtester.
Yes, that's basically true. So this is what I call my learning phase. So I did not start designing games because before actually playtesting. So I first started playtesting a lot with Uwe, with Stefan, with Ralf. So learning a lot about developing board games first, and then I met Mike, who became my co-designer on Lagranja. I met him actually at the booth of Hall Games in Essen, because he's from Switzerland and I'm from northern Germany, so we would not normally meet. But we met on the booth of Hall Games in Essen, and we started talking about board game development and stuff like that. And so I started designing my own first games after that. And so we started discussing our own ideas, and that was when it shifted from learning about games by playtesting and being part of the development team on games. And then I started designing games.
So, how did that happen? So how did that happen?
Yeah, so...
How did
well,
the
back
idea
then,
came, or did you have some mechanisms in mind? Did you have some... because now I realize that by playtesting Luna, you got that central mechanism which you used in Lagranja. How did you start playtest? How did you start, creating your first board game?
So I was in a lucky position that I was regularly playtesting with Uwe. So when we playtested, for instance, Over at Labora, Ala Erde, Fields of Ale, what else? The Agricola 2-player game, we playtested so much, and Uwe became some kind of a mentor for me. So he was always telling me, giving me advice, showing me stuff, and so on. So this was actually incredibly helpful. And he once gave me the tip that I should start from something that already exists. So find my personal, find the things that I personally enjoy and take them as a basic to create something new. And back then I was a huge fan of course, Agricola and Puerto Rico. And he said, okay, you like Puerto Rico, take the mechanism from Puerto Rico and build something around it that's not Puerto Rico, so something different. And take this one mechanism and shape it into something else. So get inspired by something you like, but take it to another level. Or not only, I don't mean quality-wise, I mean...
very differently.
Interpret the mechanism in a different way, maybe. And when Mike approached me with one of his prototypes, he said, "Here, I have this prototype. It's called Dice for the Galaxy. It was a dice game about." So his main idea was to create something like Roll for the Galaxy, as a roll and write game, but mix it up with a space theme. So this was his idea, and he said, okay, I don't know where to go from here. Do you want to check the game and maybe help me? And I said, okay, let me just have a look. And I took over for the development of that game. And
did that become Solarius Mission?
Yeah, just let me finish the story. So I will get there. So when I had this game, because I was such a huge Agricola fan, I had the idea to transfer the game into a farming game instead. And also because I loved this mechanism from Glory to Rome, as the cards go to the different sides of the board. I thought, okay, just let me take this great card mechanism, because Glory to Rome is more of a small game, and transfer it into a bigger game. So it won't feel the same. It will transfer into a different style of game. And that was basically the idea. And when I reached a certain point where I had to tell Mike, okay, I worked on your game, but it's a different game now. So it has nothing to do with what you gave me, but it's a new game. And he said, okay, so what do we do from it? And I said, okay, you have your game, Dice for the Galaxy, and I have my game, which I called Farmer back then because I'm stupid. And so we now have two games, and let's just be co-designers on both games. What do you say? And he said, okay, let's do it. And so we worked on this farming game together, and we worked on this this space game as a team. And when I met Uli Blennemann, I showed him my farm game, and he said, okay, let's publish it. And I said, what? Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. So this was what became of Lagranja.
Yeah.
And then after we published Lagranja, and it was quite successful, Mike and I said, okay, let's go back to the space game and see what we can do of this now. And this turned into Solaris mission then.
Yeah, Lagranja was Lagranja was or Lagranja. I don't know what's the correct pronunciation. It was an instant hit. I remember. I think it 2015. It arrived. For 14. I remember it got. It was. I think it was sold out at Essen. Or it was practically an instant hit at that moment.
No, it was sold out in 2 weeks.
Something like
after
that. After it's been released.
Yes. So it was, I think it was June or July before Essen that Spielworks started the pre-order, and it only took 2 or 3 weeks, and it was sold out.
Yeah. It took the world by storm, and that put you and Mike Keller on the map. How was the moment, or how did your life transformed as a designer after having such a big hit?
Well, it was basically, so Mike and I were just doing it for fun, you know. We just wanted to work on games and create games that we liked. So that was basically our motivation to do this. And I'm lucky enough that with the first game published, we already achieved all of our goals. So we had a game with our names on, which was very cool. Then we also had a game that we both loved to the bone. To this day, I love playing the game. So it's really one of my favorites because it's basically everything what I like in games is in this game. And then it was also quite successful. Not as successful as other games, but for Spielworks, for instance, it was a huge success. And for me as well, because I think the game is published now in 12, 13 languages or something like this. So really, really cool. So actually, I accomplished everything that I ever wanted with the first game. And so this made me quite mellow. So I have everything that I needed already with the first game that I wanted. And so this was cool. So I had no need to get better or... So it was just, I loved it, and I did what I wanted, and everything else was just for fun. So we just did what we wanted with the next games.
I see.
And also, it changed completely how I was seen by the industry. So when Lagranja was republished 2015 again by another German company.
Did they reprint?
PD Verlag, yes, right. It was published by Stronghold Games in the US. Yeah. It was published by Pearl Games in French. There was a Spanish publisher who's actually no longer existing. And there was no. The guy who did the publisher, it's
no, it's just a joke. Relax.
No, but he was still studying back then when he published the game, and then after him finishing his studies, the university, he sold the company, but it doesn't exist any longer. And yeah, So it was a huge print run. It was published a second time, you might say, because the print run from Spielworks was only 1,000 games, and
yes.
it was sold out. It was sold out immediately, so nobody actually, besides these 1,000 people, had the game, and it had everybody thought it was wonderful, and so there was a need for the game. So they republished it 1 year later, and we actually won this scout competition. Well, it's not a competition, it's more like, so there's, in essence, there's
A prize?
no, it's not a prize, it's more like one magazine, a gaming magazine from Germany.
Yeah.
They make some kind of a competition for, they send out their scouts on the fair, and they give ratings to the games that they just played. So then they go back to the magazine, and they publish a rating. So you can check this rating to see what these scouts think are good games. So when you see this list of rated games, you see, oh, there's this one good game, maybe I should check it out.
I see.
And at the end of the fair, La Granja was the top title, number one game in this rating. So it was, of course, because the game was published 1 year ago, and many people already knew that it was good. So many people that are listed as scouts, they already said, okay, it's a good one, we give it a good rating, and that's why it became so high in the rating, or it got so high in the rating. And after this rating was published, I was approached by 8 or 9 editors about, oh, what do you say? Do you have another game? So it actually changed from me going to publishers trying to sell my game into now they're coming to me and they ask me about something. Yep. So it was completely different. So I was in the comfortable position I did not need to advertise my game any longer. So
yeah,
I could just say, oh, I have a game, and people came and asking me about it.
Came knocking.
Yes. So 2016, I was showing the prototype for Cooper Island to 8 different companies, and I already knew that at least one would pick it up, so it was very comfortable for me.
Yeah, and you have been a playtester, you have been a gamer, then a playtester, then a designer, and now you are also a publisher. Of course, a developer. And now a publisher. Why a publisher also?
Well, I have a good friend who's one. So we started playtesting our own games, I think 12 or 13 years ago, and we do this regularly. So it's a very good friend, and we playtest all the time. And but he was not lucky enough to get published, because although he, in my personal opinion, is a brilliant designer, so we do this anyway, this developing of board games, and he's a journalist, and then he's a freelance journalist, and then some of his freelance works got canceled, and he said, okay, I need to check what I do with my working life, and he approached me and said, what about doing some publishing of our own? So or developing of our own, and see who we can find to publish it, or if we don't find one, maybe publish them ourselves. And then we try to get what's it called, a grant, a federal grant from German government that you can apply for, and we actually got it. So now we have the time, and we do not have to work for because we get this grant from Germany, that we can take time and put it into the company. So it's like an entrepreneur's support, you might say. Yeah, and we have this support for 1 year, and then I also was lucky that Lagonia Deluxe was financially quite successful for me. So um, I was in the fortunate situation that I can afford to cut down my hours from my work. So and to way more into developing my games. And then I thought, okay, let's just try it. So I have the chance because I'm already known for my board games. I have many people in the industry that I know, that are friends with, like Uwe Rosenberg, of course.
Yeah, which you published.
And yes, so when Thorsten, who's the friend that I started the Game Builders with, Thorsten was also a friend with Uwe, actually. When we told him about our plans to
Do a publishing company.
start a company,
yeah.
he said, okay, do you want a game? And we said, we would take it, yeah, sure. And he said, okay, but I'm just giving you a small game, not a big one, and you can show to me if you're doing a good job. Maybe one day you will get a big one, but let's start first with the smaller one. And we said, okay, I really loved Nova Luna, Patchwork, and Sagani. I really like these kind of tile laying games. It's something that I can play, for instance, with my wife on work nights. When she comes from work and is exhausted, something like this you can play all the time because it's not too complicated and it's this kind of puzzly feel, so you can optimize your tiles a little bit. So we love this very much. And then Uwe gave us Applejack, and this is a game that I loved instantly. And we love to do this. And this is actually our first game. We are lucky that we have a game by Uwe Rosenberg for our first title, which is very important to be seen in the industry. Not only in the industry but for the people, for the gamers. They say, "Oh, it's a Uwe Rosenberg game." It's very, very interesting. So we do not have to advertise a game to the people.
Yeah.
They already know. Oh, there's a Uwe Rosenberg game. We need to check it out, and so they come to us, and it's very, very comfortable situation. So for a new publisher, you need to be seen, and publishing a Uwe Rosenberg game is basically helping you very much.
Yeah. You publish an established name. That's a vote of confidence if a well-established name comes to you. Yes. And the name of the company is, for the people to look for?
It's the Game Builders.
The Game Builders. And your first title is Applejack, right? Which you have...
Right, Applejack. But we only publish it in German first, and right now we're preparing a new print run with many languages. So it will become available in different languages next year.
That's nice. So you are like I said, a playtester, a gamer, a playtester, a developer, a publisher, a designer, a developer, a publisher. How do you fit all those hats on your head? Is it hard?
Well, the fun thing about working on games is that it actually does not feel like work to me, because this is basically something that I love, and it comes easy to me. So of course you have to watch out for yourself and do not do too many hours a day to work on your games. But as long as this goes, I'm very happy. So for, let me just think, 6 months now, I'm full-time board game designer and publisher. I still kept my old job just for support a little bit. Yeah. But most of my time now goes into the board games and publishing new games with the Game Builders and developing them. So right now I'm working on the game that we want to publish next year. And of course, on the side, So I'm trying to go full time into board games. So the one pillars of my income should come from the game builders at some
Yep.
point. Right now it's very difficult because we're just started. And the other side of, or the other pillar of my income should come from um, Lagrangia style games. So I talked to Uli Blennemann, who's guy behind Spielworks, and we thought about publishing more Lagrangia style games.
I see.
And the next one, so it's the Lagrangia sequel, you might
It's El
say.
Burro.
It's El Burro, which will be published next
Yeah.
year. So I'm finishing this game right now, doing the solo variant and stuff like this. So this will be published next year, and this is the other pillar of
Your
my
income.
trying
Yeah.
to make it as
But
games.
yeah, but how getting back, how do you settle the developer part inside you with the designer part inside you with the publisher part inside you? Do you manage to switch those hats easily?
Well, the publisher part is actually quite challenging because this is completely different from working on board games, developing and designing games. So now publishing and selling them, setting up distribution and stuff like this basically has nothing to do with board games
Exactly.
whatsoever. So it's completely so if you sell cars or whatever, it doesn't matter. So you have to do the same things. If it's cars or board games, you just need distribution. You need to have production costs,
Yeah,
and so on.
exactly.
This is completely different job. So I'm learning this right now on the fly, and we'll see how this goes. But it keeps me actually from working on board games. So this is it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's really much fun to do all this stuff, but it's hard to manage this with working on the board games, and which is basically what I love the most. So let's just see. I try to do this for now, and maybe in the future we will. If the game builders become successful,
Yeah, you can hire
we might
someone
be
to do that.
yes, we might be able to hire somebody, or yeah,
Yeah, that's the way to do
we'll
it.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you work on your games, do you like to develop them yourself, or do you let somebody else develop them?
No, I'm doing this by myself. This is the whole point for the game builders. So I don't want anybody to tell me what to change about my board games. I don't need something like this. So, and I'm um,
You're,
well, maybe I need it, but I don't want it. So
you're quite the dictator in your own castle.
yes. Well, let's just say that I realized that I do not manage well with being someone calling the shots on my own games. So I'd rather have them a little bit flawed and not as perfect as they need to be, and do all the stuff by myself and be completely 100% behind my game. This is more important to me than to maximize profit or something like this. So I'm really trying to. Maybe you can say a little bit of
Yeah, you have
what is
that artist soul inside you. The bass player is there.
yeah,
It comes out.
yeah, yeah, it's basically something like this. So I don't need my band does not need the management. I can do it by myself. So, or I don't. I want to do it by myself. Let's just say it like this. But I also think that I personally think that I have the skill set to do this because I already told you that I basically started learning to develop games before designing games. So I learned from some of the best people in the industry, to my personal opinion, like Ralf Brun, who is a stellar editor. I can stress this enough. He's one of the best. personally, I think. And of course, Uwe Rosenberg is an incredible designer and also very good at editing his own games. And I learned from the best, you might say. And
Yeah.
of course, I will not do everything
And
perfectly all the time because it's just. But I have the skill set
yeah,
to
you
develop
trust
the game.
yourself in the end to do the job. Yeah. Well, now I have to go very fast to another question. What is fun to you?
Listening to music.
Ooh. But in board games, what do you find fun in board games?
What do I find fun in? So actually, what I really love about board games is that you're doing it with other people, but I'm not in it for the laughs, you might say. So it's occasionally it's quite fun to also play games that you sell, games like party games or
Yeah.
something like this, that are there for. But normally I enjoy optimizing games and doing it with other people as well. So um, I love the company of other people, but I also
The
love
puzzles. The puzzles.
the puzzles, the
Yes.
optimizing, the mechanisms. And so this is why I said I need the victory points, otherwise I won't do it. So this is basically what I fell in love with back then. I didn't like the family style games when I was younger, and
Yeah.
when I fell in love with
Yeah.
board games, it was these kind of Euro style games where you have this managing and optimizing stuff, and this is what I really like. So
Yeah.
I'm a pure normally I'm a pure Euro style games guy. So this is what you can expect from me.
What is,
But I'm always open to learn new stuff.
of course, what is your most played game?
Oh, that's easy. It's Underwater Cities.
Underwater Cities. And what is your favorite game?
Well, for a long time I said Antiquity, but I haven't played this in a while. But I really loved Antiquity
Yeah.
back then,
In
and
my top 10 also.
it's yeah. But right now I would say that so there's a threefold, you might say, because when the pandemic hit the world, my wife and I started really heavily into certain games and not playing all the time something different. We weighed heavily
On one
on
game,
on
yeah.
on one games, and that was Underwater Cities, which we played, I think, 160, 170 times by now. And when the expansion came, this got wild. So we played it all the time. And then a couple of years ago, there was this game called Lost Ruins of Arnak. We also played this game 150, 160 times by now. And when we had played this so much, then there was Ark Nova hit our table. And now we are on the way of, I don't know, 125, 130
Wow.
games
That means
of Ark Nova.
your wife is truly a gamer. Um,
Yeah,
we
sure.
have
So I think these three games you can consider my favorite games. So Underwater Cities is incredibly good. So is Arnak and Ark Nova as well.
hello Kosti, welcome. Kosti salutes you, says hello. And what is your favorite designer? Who is your favorite designer? Not what. Who?
Yeah, that's stupid. I don't think that this person cult. There are many great designers
I'm
that I
certain, but
cherish
you
for
must have
their
one
personal
which you like more than the
skills.
other. Because or maybe
No,
more. You can have more, but at some points you might like one. Not liking the. There are some designers which their games speak more to you than other designers. That doesn't mean that one designer is better than the other. That doesn't. It's just closer to your heart. To call it like this. This is how we should interpret this question.
Okay. Okay, let's just say, of course, Vladimir Suchy is a stellar designer. I love to the bone, and he seems to have a style that fits to my personal taste.
Yeah.
So I really love Underwater Cities to the bone, and then came Praga Capodregni is also stellar. And he's publishing one stellar game after the other. So now he's doing this with other designers as well. So the Messina was co-designed by him, and Woodcraft as well. So really cool games. And if I have to pick one, it would be Uwe Feld Suchy.
Uwe Feld Suchy. Okay. Now, do you want to add something before we go back to the second part? Do you want to add something?
Yes. I really love Brass. One of the best games ever. So I have to include Martin Wallace, great designer.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a million. There are a lot of great designers, Vladar Fatil and so on. We can, but some speak to us more than others. That's what it is.
Yeah, sure.
So for you now is Suchy, Vladimir Suchy, or Suhi. I don't know what the right pronunciation is.
I'm also only trying to pronounce his name correctly, so I really don't know.
Yeah. Now, my last question is: would you want to add something? Is there something which you want to talk about which I haven't asked you about? No. Okay.
What kind of music do you like?
Okay, what kind of music do you like?
No, you.
I'm an alternative rock kind of guy.
Rock?
Hard rock,
Okay.
alternative rock. That.
Cool. What's your favorite? What's your favorite band? Tell me quickly.
I like, but on older albums. Stone Sour's older albums.
Okay.
If you ever listen to, I like Corey Taylor a lot. I like his voice. I think he has a classic rock voice. Let's say it. I don't know, classic rock. Not. Yeah, it has a good rock voice.
Is this the guy from Slipknot?
It's the same guy. Yeah.
No.
It's the same guy.
Okay.
I like Slipknot also. Okay, so let's go to my last part of the interview, which is a fast questionnaire, which it derives from Marcel Proust, and it starts with, what is your favorite word? You can also say it in German.
My favorite word? Oh God. I actually don't know. What? I guess it's a curse word, maybe. I don't know. My favorite word. I'm totally unprepared for these questions, so I have to make something up
that's
now.
The idea.
Maybe. Okay, my favorite word is blue.
Your favorite word is a color. That's interesting. What is your least favorite word? You must have one of those. A least favorite word.
Okay, my least favorite word is something that I think about right now. My least favorite word is I'm just talking to make to think while I'm talking, and I really don't know, because I think of something I do not like, and that's dirt.
Okay.
I really despise when this kind of weather we have right now. So it's wet and it's cold, and we have a lot of dogs. And when I go walking with
And you
them,
come back, they're full of
um,
dirt.
and I come
Yeah.
back, the whole house looks like we brought the field into our house, and I really don't like this. So I love to walk my dogs in the summer, and when everything is dry and not muddy, I don't like this. So it's dirt or mud.
What turns you on creatively, emotionally, spiritually?
What turns me
Yes.
on? I think what I really like is being inspired by something. So I'm really enthusiastic about some stuff. So it doesn't matter if it's music or a board game that I played. So if I see something or hear something or experience something that I really enjoy, then I love trying to create something. Take this bit and create something new of it. Like that was part of the fun when I played in a band. You could say, okay, you adopt a certain style, or you like a certain style of music, and you try to play this style of music,
In a
but in your
in our
own
own way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Transforming things.
your own way. And
Yeah, transforming things.
yeah, transforming things. So, and this is basically what I love about board games as well. So, you already said that you recognize the market from Lagunya being a part of
Luna. Yeah.
Luna as well, and
Yeah.
um, this market part in Lagunya was not there for a long time. So it was actually the last thing that I added to the game, and I asked Stefan if he's okay if I take this mechanism and shape it into something different. And he said, sure, I love to if you take this. So this is all. Lagrania is not also a love letter to Loyang, but also to
Yeah,
Luna.
yeah, yeah.
So and of course the multi-use cards from Glory to Rome. This is something that I really loved playing Glory to Rome. So it was
Yeah, so
so
transforming
different,
things in a way.
fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What turns you off?
What turns me off? It's yeah, many bad things that happen in the world, of course, get me really depressed. Although I'm in a very privileged situation living in Germany, of course, I have to admit. But of course, seeing that there's war in Europe is really a downer.
I see.
Uh,
I see. So war,
but for me,
war turns you off.
from but for me, it's just some depressive feeling, and for other people, it means death, and that's really
Yeah.
really not cool.
What is your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
It's a good one. It has so many, so many. uh,
I really like cursing, because it's so powerful,
yeah.
and you can express yourself in a very strong way, and it does not always mean that you really dislike something, but you need to get
Oh,
something out of
yeah, yeah.
yourself. You get to need something out of your system, and so sometimes I just walk around cursing, and because
Yeah.
you know, it's like listening to heavy music and dancing it off and getting all your frustration and your anger out of your system by listening to heavy music like Slipknot. You can just get all your frustration out, and after listening to a song like this, you're a better person, because now you're relaxed again.
I think.
Cursing is the same way.
Sorry, sorry. What did you say?
Cursing works the
Oh
same
yeah,
way.
it was the same way. Yeah, yeah. I think I know the answer to this one, but let's see. What sound or noise do you love?
Sound do I
Yes.
love? Um, I really love the sound of distorted guitar.
I was I was thinking of that. And what sound or noise do you hate?
Well, I cannot say that I hate computer sounds because I'm normally not into electronic music, but even some bands do really good self-made. So what I really like in music is if you're doing it by yourself, not having a songwriter or something like this
So you don't like
doing stuff
computers
for you.
doing stuff for you. So you don't like the sound
Well,
of
sometimes it's
computer
very good.
music.
Yeah, I don't like techno, so let's just go with it. Yeah. But if some bands are mixing indie rock with electronic sounds, and that is very fascinating. One of my favorite bands in the world mixes indie rock with electronics, and I really love this. So really cannot say I hate computer sounds because they are doing it very well, but I really hate techno. You can say this, yes.
Which profession outside the one you already do would you like to attempt?
Mm, I think I have to say musician.
Musician. And what?
If I can, I'm not skilled enough to become one. So
But you would like to do it. What profession outside the one you already do would you not like to attempt? What you wouldn't like to do?
like a construction worker, I think I would be really bad at this. So
Yeah.
lifting heavy stuff, ruining my back even more. So I ruined my back lifting up people. So I really would hate to lift stones or bricks or stuff like this. So shoveling holes of sand, and no, that's not for me.
And my last question is, if heaven exists, what you expect God to say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Hmm. Well, first of all, I really don't think that she exists.
She or she,
Um,
but if this is the question, if
if she exists, I think she would say, "Oh, you're wrong here.
go back,
You need to go."
go back. Uh,
How did how did you manage to get up here? You were supposed to go down.
Ode, thank you very much for your time. It was a lot of fun talking to you. Thank you for it. This is one of the longest interviews I've made. It was a lot of fun talking to you. Thank you for your insights into the hobby, into the industry. Thank you for your time. Do you want to say something
Yeah,
in
thank
the
you.
end?
Yeah, I'm really sorry that it took so long because sometimes I have analysis paralysis by answering questions that uh, were were uh, told me, and I have to make something up. So sometimes I'm just sitting there trying to figure out what answer to give you, and I see this commonly on the board game table that people just sit and think about what they're doing. And I'm like this with interview questions that I was
No,
not prepared for. So I'm really sorry that I took so long answering the
no,
questions and
it's not.
talking.
I wasn't saying it. Sorry, I wasn't saying it as a bad thing. I saying it as a good thing because we covered a lot of stuff and we talked about because no, you had a lot of things to talk about and we had a lot of things to talk about, and you answered kindly to all my questions and in detail, and I want to thank you for that. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Oh, thank you.
Uh,
Thank you for
and,
having me. It was very pleasant to talk to you as well. Very cool. Thanks for
and
doing it.
thank you, thank you. I will ask you please not close the connection. I will do the outro and then we talk a bit afterwards. Um, I want to thank Ode again for coming here and talking to me and to me through me to all of you. If you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. Every subscriber we get is helpful. Also, yeah, like, share, and subscribe because keeps the internet alive, as the old saying says. And I want to thank everybody who came and watched live. I want to thank everybody who comes and watches after the fact. As I said, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all again. And until next time, all I have to say is play a lot, play loads, have fun, and bye bye, fine folks, wherever in the world you are. Okay, and